Hello YouTube, Robert Alvarez the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting in the Fan. I really do not get tired of saying that. So, a lot is going on. A lot has been going on the last few days. A lot has been going on. A lot will be going on over the next few days. And it's so funny because I'm remembering, since this past Wednesday, I'm remembering a passage from the DVD of The Secret, the original version. And the passage was about how when the universe gives us what we desire, we need to act fast. As most of you know, in less than 12 to 16 hours, I will be in Catland, also known as Catland Books in Brooklyn, or as I love to say, Brooklyn. And I'll be giving palm readings and oracle card deck readings, or rather oracle card readings. And I wanted to do a video on a deck that, interestingly enough, spoke to me a few weeks ago. I was, and it was so funny because even though she is not my celestial mother, I do have this strong affinity with Hecate. Hecate, also known as Hecate, is the Greek goddess of magic, prophecy, and the crossroads. She is a triple goddess. She is a goddess of mystery, and I love talking about her because she does have an affinity with witches. She does, and I happen to be a witch. She considers gay men her children, and I am a gay man. And because she governs magic and prophecy, she also would favor people that practice magic and witchcraft, ritual work and spellcraft, which I do, and who foresee and divine, which I do. And the interesting thing was, before this deck found me, I was looking at this gift item, and it was of keys on the top. It was, I might need to like upload a photograph of it, but it was this paperweight, and it had keys that were like pressed into it. And it was fascinating, and keys are one of Hecate's attributes, so I feel that she moved me in the direction of this deck. So this is the box. It's called the Witch's Oracle, and I am getting better at this, thank goddess. It is by Marla Brooks and Junia Khan. I love the box, has that magnetic thing going on. Love the cauldron. Love the pentacle shining bright. Love the box. And it has a guidebook with a witch on the cover. Love the back of the design too. I love what they did with the pentacle. In the deck it's called pentagram, but I was taught that a pentacle is an encircled pentagram. So, the witch's star by itself is a pentagram. The witch's star encircled is a pentacle. And those of us who read with the Sacred Tarot, we are familiar with a suit called Pentacles, which depicts, that. Or several of those in some cards. So, I love this deck. Some of the cards, and I'm not going to show you all, but some of the cards have a gothic look to them. Like this one, for example. Not to mention, red and black is seemingly a popular theme in Gothic circles. I could be wrong. I am no authority on Gothic culture. I love the Celtic heart because it depicts the triquetra in the center. Although these last several years it's more commonly known as the charm symbol. I wonder why. And there's the cauldron that's on the cover of the box. Cauldron card, and specifically Caradwin's cauldron, and cover of the box. See if I can fit the two of them together. Yes, I can do that. Okay. Like I said, some of this I'm still working through. I'm still working on making it look better. So Learning curve, YouTube, learning curve. It's interesting because Hecate and Ceridwen share two festival dates in common. One is October 31st, which is known to many witches, pagans, and Wiccans as Samhain. And the other one is December 31st, which is a secular holiday more commonly known as New Year's Eve. And there is a wonderful chant by Incubus Succubus called Hecate Ceridwen. It's beautiful and haunting and wondrous, and and I happen to love it very much. It also has different animal cards like Chinese dragon, and different sacred tools like crystal ball, dream catcher, and sacred symbols like one of my favorites, Eye of Heru, also known as the Eye of Horus, also known as the Eye of Ra, a black cat for a familiar, a full moon. This one I had to look up. I will let you do your own research, but yeah, because I was like, what is that? And of course, it takes not just from Native American cosmology with the dream catcher, but Celtic culture with the labyrinth. You really can't see the detail. Let me see if I can do this. And that does not help. Alright, that helps a little bit. I'm also starting to experiment with different lighting, but you can see, I can see the labyrinth really clearly. If you stare into it a while, you might actually go on a trip. Lightning. This is another card that seems to have a Gothic look and feel to it. Now, for those of you that are more familiar with Gothic culture and imagery, let me know if I'm correct or incorrect, because I'm, I don't know those things. Magic wand, of course. By the way, the deck has 45 cards, and they are smaller than standard size. I have a pretty medium-sized hand, but people that have small hands might enjoy working with this. Merkaba, which is a three-dimensional Star of David. I love this. Remember, I have cats, so every once in a while one of them will be doing something or trying to do something, and I'm like, what's that? Merkaba has different translations, but my favorite translation comes from the ancient Egyptian language, and it translates as vehicle of ascending light. That has to be Durga. You met Durga in a previous video. The Merlin. It's interesting because, I was sharing this with a friend who is a vortex healing practitioner at his phenomenal event for dealing with, or rather healing the effects of the current Mercury retrograde. And I had shared that in The Mists of Avalon by the late and great Marion Zimmer Bradley, the Merlin's name was Gwydion. Merlin was a title. It wasn't a name. I think he already knew that. Now, I must admit, this is a badass looking mortar and pestle. Now, I have one that is not jewel encrusted and not made of a black material that could easily be soapstone in this card, but mine is white marble. And it was actually given to me by a fellow witch. And it was interesting because I remember I had met with her to give her a reading, and I was sharing with her this psychic vision, or rather this divine guidance that I'd had about having a white marble mortar and pestle. And then she goes and she's like, you mean like this? And I'm like, exactly like that. And then she said, it's yours. I'm like, what? And she's like, it's yours. And I said, what? She's like, it's yours. It's yours. Keep it. If I had said what again, she probably would have clocked me on the head with it. Then I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead. So, and again, here is the Pentacle, and I love it. Shadow and light. Every witch needs to be familiar with his or her shadow and his or her light. One could argue that everybody needs to do that, but for me personally, I feel that that is a witch's responsibility, because I know my shadow. My shadow is a Cuban cunt who is a hardcore bitch, and if I did have a firearm, I'd be in jail. That's my shadow side. My light side is somebody who is compassionate and generous and loving and peaceful. And every once in a while, I have these fantasies about smacking somebody upside the goddamn head. But that's for another video. That's what's called a ratchet video. Anyway, silver box. Skeleton key. Another clear and evident sign to me that Hecate led me to this deck. For those of us that love certain imagery, skull. This is a creepy looking skull. I don't know if you can see the green of the eyes, but like that looks creepy to me. I've never been one for skulls. It just doesn't do it for me. And here's something else that looks kind of gothic to me. Spider, and yes, it is a Black Widow spider. This card deck really works the red and black. I don't know if you... Oh, also, that's another thing. I don't know if you can see... Well, here's the toad, since we're going to talk about Hecate. See the raised... You know, if you see it. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's raised on the front and raised on the back, but in some of the cards, it's not raised. You know, for example... the card that for me, I think I've talked about this in the hold on. I think I've talked about this in the past, that when I work with a divination deck or an oracle card deck, I look to see which card represents the energy of the High Priestess card, which for me is my celestial mother Osset, the Kemetic or ancient Egyptian goddess more commonly known as Isis, as in Lady Isis. So for me, it's this card. This is the triple goddess card. This is the triple moon symbol. And again, you know, if you look really closely, I hope I'm not freaking y'all out with this fan. I mean, with this light. But if you look really closely, you see that it's raised. Not just, oh my goddess, I'm not getting this right. Hold on. If you look, you see it's raised here. It's not, you see the design rather, that's on the back. See, same design. Except that on the back of these cards, it's raised. And on the front of these cards, it's raised. But not on the actual image. It's not raised. Unicorn. Beautiful unicorn. The witch, who's on the cover of the book. Okay. And then you have a witch's bottle, witch's circle, witch's hat, and that's that. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to working with this deck tomorrow at Catland in Brooklyn. And, you know, especially since it is a witch store, it is a magical store. I don't want to say Wiccan because I've learned the actual meaning of the word Wiccan as in Gardnerian Wiccan. I don't know if any of the owners or staff people are Gardnerian Wiccans. But this definitely is a store that caters to the witchy, pagan, and magical communities in general. And it's one of the few remaining such stores in New York City. I mean, there was a time when, especially in Manhattan, there were tons of these stores. So they are a dying breed. So, you know, as a witch and as somebody that loves supporting independent booksellers, I cannot over-recommend that you go to these stores. You know, if there is a witchy shop in your area, please go to them. Please go and buy merchandise from them and patronize them and keep them in business as long as possible, because, you know, unfortunately these stores are a dying breed, and it's for a lot of reasons which I'm not going to get into now because this video is already passing 14 minutes and I still have things that I need to do before I go to bed, because I need to wake up early tomorrow morning for a private 1-hour telephone reading. And I also need to head into Manhattan earlier than I would normally because I know that there's a lot going on this weekend. So the last, and Mercury is retrograding, and my experience of going to Manhattan or New York City in general on a Saturday is usually hit or miss. So with all that being said, I'm looking forward to using this deck. I'm looking forward to connecting with it more deeply. If you have this deck, tell me what your experiences are of it. And you just saw one of Durga's whiskers. Like she wants to be in front of the cam. And look what she's doing. She's building it forward. She's moving it forward. Okay. I know, Durga, but just a little while longer. So if you have this deck, let me know. If you do not have this deck and you want some information about it, I will probably refer you to the website or to a website that has more information about it. If you do have this deck, please tell me your experiences of it. And if you also want to have this deck after watching this video, tell me. I don't see that many comments in my videos. Do you want me to make more videos? Anyway, so I'll leave you with that. But I wish you a beautiful evening. Enjoy the upcoming full moon in Aries, sign of new beginnings. By the way, I know that a lot of people have been calling this the blood moon, but I was taught that the traditional name of the full moon in October, actually, I keep calling it October because my mind is already in the next full moon. Oh, goddess. This is the full moon in September, so I was taught that this is the harvest moon. The blood moon is another name for the hunter's moon, which is the traditional name of the full moon in October. I don't know all of them. It seems that way. Part of me thinks I should know all of them, but I don't. Or maybe I just don't remember all of them. So, all that being said, I wish all of you a beautiful evening. I wish all of you many blessings to you and yours. And we'll see when the next video gets uploaded. Thank you, YouTube, and good night.